Hundreds of protesters filled the streets of San Francisco, blocking intersections along the way, expressing their displeasure with the White House. Good evening, I'm Spencer Blake. J.R. Stone and Justine Waldman are off tonight. Across the nation, a group called Refuse Fascism has called on people to march in the streets in protest of President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence tonight. San Francisco is one of 22 cities with an organized march, and KRON 4's Ella Sagamonian has been on top of this all day. She's live at Mission and 24th, where those protesters ended their rally. Ella.
Hey there, Spencer. Yeah, refusefascism.org. That is the website that continues to promote people across the United States to come out in protest against the administration. That's President Trump and Vice President Pence. And so their situation has not changed since the inauguration. They've been taking to the streets in protest of the two. And today, Sagamonian, KRON 4 News. All
right, thank you, Ellen. We didn't see rain at that protest, but there was plenty of rain across the Bay Area today, and there were a lot of car accidents on slick roads. In Antioch, rescue crews showed up this morning to a two-car accident at Kennedy and Delta Fair Boulevard. Look at the damage. One of the cars completely lost its top. It also had a person trapped inside. A firefighter on scene says this kind of thing happens if you're not careful when the rainy season starts up again.
Based on the rain that we've had the last couple of hours, the conditions on the roadway are wet, and that brings the oils of the roadway to the surface and makes for an extra dangerous surface to drive on.
Rescuers pulled one person out of a car using the jaws of life, and that person is now at John Muir Medical Center with major injuries. And that rain has let up tonight after a wet start to the day in the Bay Area. Let's take a look outside at the Embarcadero. A nice night for the time being, and we want to go ahead and get our first look at weather with meteorologist Lawrence Carno, because Lawrence, we are going to see some more of this coming in the next few days, right?
Yeah, it looks like we've got a more substantial.
All right, thanks, Lawrence. Well, in the East Bay, police are on the hunt for a man who they say stole a woman's car at gunpoint. It happened last night at the Rockridge BART station in Oakland. Officers say the woman was in her car when a man pointed a semi-automatic handgun at her in the West Side parking lot. The woman got out of her car, and then the gunman and another man got in and drove away. No one was hurt. That car reported stolen is a gray 2017 Honda Accord. Tasers will now be an option for San Francisco police officers. Late last night, the San Francisco Police Department Commission approved a measure allowing the use of the weapons. It's an issue that's been debated for years, and not everyone approves of it. KRON 4's Camila Bernal explains both sides of the argument.
San Francisco is...
And San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott had this reaction to the tasers being approved. Quote, CEDs are a sound, less lethal force option that complement the de-escalation principles and techniques our officers practice every day. The chief added the department will now work on developing a policy for officers. A convergence of hot-button political issues over in the East Bay today. Protesters are trying to call attention to the conditions at a county jail, as well as the plight of undocumented immigrants. KRON 4's Jeff Pierce has the story.
4 News.
Coming up at 8, rain in the Bay Area means snow in the mountains. We'll take a look at the dusting in the Sierra. Then a big-name band from the Bay Area is coming back home for a benefit concert to help victims of the North Bay firestorm. And of all the shelters we've seen since those wildfires started, there's only one still open. It's a sign of things moving forward. At the height of the North Bay wildfires last month, there were more than 3 dozen evacuation centers set up throughout Sonoma County. Today, there's only one. And as KRON 4's Philippe Jagal reports from Santa Rosa, shelter organizers say that's a positive sign.
Jagal, KRON 4 News.
Well, last night on KRON 4, we teamed up with the Salvation Army to raise money for those victims of the North Bay firestorm. And during the 8 o'clock hour, our own Stanley Roberts fielded a rather interesting donation call. Take a listen to this one.
During the commercial break, it went from 154 to 157. There we go.
We will take it indeed. And by the time we went off the air, we had raised over $230,000 because of your donations. That number could go even higher. You don't need to call in to contribute. You can still donate online. We have a link that's all set up for you. You can go find it at KRON4.com. Thank you for your donations. There's also a series of concerts set to help out the victims of the North Bay wildfires. The initial response for these concerts was overwhelming. It even crashed the website when tickets for one of the events went on sale. KRON 4's Teresa Estacio is at one concert location where a group with Bay Area ties, the Counting Crows, will perform.
I'm here in Rohnert Park.
Berkeley, the city is once again at odds with homeless encampments there. A group was forced to move off of BART property there, and some of them have now moved to City Hall. That's where we find KRON 4's Hermela Aragawi. She joins us live with those details. Good evening, Hermela. Thank you, Hermela. Well, snow has started to fall on the Sierra Nevada mountains. As the Bay Area starts to get some rain, the ski slopes and peaks of the Sierra are getting a dusting of snow. Some spots are expected to get as much as 2 feet. Snowplows and other snow removal equipment are sitting near the roads in preparation. And if you're heading through the mountains for the weekend, maybe taking a trip out there, make sure you bring those chains with you. The storm is moving in from the Gulf of Alaska and has already soaked the state's coast. And Lawrence Carno and I were talking a little bit about snow and people making plans to drive through it. And I know more rain is coming our way. Does that mean, I'm guessing, more snow up there?
Yeah, these are cold storms. They're coming right out of the Gulf of Alaska, so they've got more snow on the way there. And we've got some more rain coming in our direction. But today, yeah, we had some nice showers outside, some partly cloudy skies right now. Looking out over San Francisco, we're working on a chilly evening outside as these temperatures, hey, they are going to be dropping off as the skies start to clear out here as the system moves on through. Still, today, yeah, we had a couple clouds moving on by and the showers too. The snow continuing now in the Sierra Nevada. You saw the video and they are still seeing some snow flurries up and around the Tahoe area across some of the higher peaks. But that is going to wind on down. Here in the Bay Area, things getting quiet now as we scan your skies as it looks like things settling down. That's the way it's going to stay. Now, things could get interesting late in the day tomorrow. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. As these skies part, it's going to be very chilly out there. Some overnight lows down in the 30s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy. And then a slight chance of rain in the North Bay late in the afternoon. I'll show you that in a minute. And then a stronger storm on the way. That one's going to pack more rain and some pretty gusty winds as that moves on shore. All right, temperatures around the Bay Area today, almost 10 degrees below the average in some spots. So had that cool air out there as that system moved on throughout the Gulf of Alaska. And tonight, here we sit, 52 degrees, cool in Livermore. It is 48 already in Napa, 48 in Petaluma, already down to 45 degrees in Santa Rosa. So it won't be long before they sneak into the 30s. You headed out the door tonight, plan on some chilly conditions and some breezy conditions too. Those winds kicking up around the Bay Area a bit. So yeah, breezy and cool out there, but overnight those winds going to subside and the temperature really going to start to drop off. Cool air moving in right in from the Gulf here, dropping in our direction. That is going to make for a chilly night tonight. And well, some of these overnight lows going to be down into the 30s, at least in the North Bay, maybe even down in some spots in the East Bay. Overnight tonight, you'll see those clouds rolling on through the day. Tomorrow doesn't look bad, but late in the day, you start to see some of those clouds coming in. Maybe a slight chance of a sprinkle as the system moves by. Not going to be much energy with it, but a weak system slides on through. So you get the idea. Things a little bit unsettled now, and the storm door really kind of open, even though we're going to dry things out, I think, basically the next few days. I think that storm door is going to remain open now, and maybe a stronger storm on the way. Highs for tomorrow in the 50s and the 60s. Next couple days, well, here we go. We're going to dry things out through Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, a chance of rain and wind, Spencer.
Coming back to us. All right, thanks a lot, Lawrence. Next, it's no surprise to see geologists digging. That's what they do, right? But they're looking for something specific in Napa. We go in the trenches with a bird's eye view from a drone. Coming up. Still ahead, an American woman tweeted something about Zimbabwe's president, and it landed her in jail. Plus, maybe there is a way to forecast when an earthquake will happen. We've got a view from up high of what geologists are doing down low as they search for clues about the Napa fault line.
When I first found out, I can't even describe how excited I was. I mean, it really is a privilege, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be a good thing.
Your host, Henry Wooford, the Red and Gold Zone, tonight at 9:30 on KRON 4.
Good morning. This is a telethon with the Salvation Army to raise money for the North Bay fire victims, and the calls have been coming in.
Thank you. The KRON 4 Morning News thanks you again. You can give...
This is the Bay Area's news station. KRON 4 News continues now.
The Napa earthquake of 2014 was the strongest one to hit the Bay Area since Loma Prieta in 1989. Now scientists are digging deep into the ground to see if they can unlock the answer as to when the next one will hit. Since 2014, the USGS has been working on a more detailed map of fault lines in Napa County. It's all to help better understand where, when, and how often earthquakes will strike. KRON 4's Charles Clifford and Quadcopter 4 joined the USGS to see firsthand the work underway.
Deep in the heart of Napa wine country, the U.S. Geological Survey has.
Governor Jerry Brown was at the Vatican today talking about the environment. Brown believes a religious approach needs to be taken in order to avoid climate change. The California governor is in Europe for 11 days. Starting Monday, he'll be attending a UN climate change conference in Germany as a special advisor. Brown has been very vocal in promoting California's environmental causes ever since President Trump made the decision to pull the U.S. out of international climate deals. An American woman in Zimbabwe is in prison after calling the country's president a selfish and sick man on Twitter. Martha O'Donovan was arrested yesterday for posting that tweet about President Robert Mugabe. The 25-year-old American is now facing subversion charges. O'Donovan made her first court appearance today. She called those allegations against her baseless and malicious. Her attorneys tried to challenge her subversion charge, saying it only came as an afterthought. Coming up, the federal government wants to create a communications network that won't break down and hamper rescue efforts during major natural disasters. And following this week's deadly terror attack in the heart of New York City, see the security measures being put in place for a major marathon coming up tomorrow.
And skies starting to clear out just a bit now. We're in for a very cold night around parts of the Bay Area. We'll talk about
New York City is stepping up security ahead of its marathon that gets underway Sunday. It was just Tuesday that a terror attack killed 8 people. Investigators believe Sayfullo Saipov, who is responsible for those deaths, planned the Halloween Day attacks for nearly a year. According to neighbors, they saw him go on test drives in the same truck he used in the terror attack as well. New York City officials are not taking any chances. This morning, they held a press conference saying thousands of extra police officers will be on the streets.
We're also going to triple the amount of National Guard that will be in the city during this weekend. We're going to double the state police, double the Port Authority police, MTA police, and the MTA bridge and tunnel personnel will also be increased to make sure that we have a safe weekend.
The first wave of runners will start the marathon at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Congress is working to implement a nationwide communications program for public safety. KRON 4's Washington correspondent Drew Petrimo reports that lawmakers and emergency responders say it's crucial to saving lives during emergencies. All right, let's get a check of the weather now with Lawrence Carno. He's joining us with a look at the forecast. I heard that rain overnight last night. Wasn't anything huge, but yeah, you said you wanted to stay up for it.
Yeah, I was trying to stay up, but I fell asleep right before it came and slept right through it. But hey, we're going to get some more, right? This is just the beginning of the wet season.
Former President George H.W. Bush says President Donald Trump is a blowhard. Bush makes the comment in a new book about him and his son, former President George W. Bush. The book is titled The Last Republicans. Now, it gives some insight into their thoughts in 2016 as the presidential election played out. Author Mark Updegrove recounts a conversation with George H.W. Bush in 2016 in which he says he didn't like Donald Trump, calling him a blowhard. He also told the author he thought Trump could unite the country, although he says that would require humility, which he says would be a challenge for Trump. And the White House did respond to the former president's comments about Trump. The White House wrote today, quote, "If one presidential candidate can disassemble a political party, it speaks volumes about how strong a legacy its past 2 presidents really had." The White House also called the younger Bush's decision to wage war on Iraq, quote, "one of the greatest foreign policy mistakes in American history." President Trump is embarking on his longest trip abroad since taking office. He just arrived in Japan a short time ago after spending the night in Hawaii. Now, besides Japan, the president will also be visiting South Korea, China, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Kim Hutcherson, with our partners at CNN, takes a look at what's at the top of President Trump's agenda for this trip.
President Trump's.
Kentucky police say a man attacked Senator Rand Paul inside his home. Paul wasn't hurt badly. Police say the Republican senator suffered a minor injury. State troopers responded to his home in Bowling Green, Kentucky yesterday afternoon, and they left with a 59-year-old man in custody. Now, that man, Rene Albert Boucher, has been charged with 1 count of 4th-degree assault. It's not clear exactly what happened to Paul. His communications director released a statement saying the senator was blindsided by his attacker. He also said Paul is fine. Netflix is cutting ties with actor Kevin Spacey. The streaming service said it will not be involved with any further production of House of Cards. They will also not release a film Spacey produced and stars in called Gore. The decision comes following allegations that Spacey sexually harassed actor Anthony Rapp, who was a minor at the time. Several members of the House of Cards production staff then came forward with similar allegations. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the show will end. Netflix is working with the show's production company to evaluate the future of the show. There have been many allegations of sexual harassment or assault against Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein, but one may result in criminal charges. An actress in particular has told a story that authorities in New York believe is strong enough for prosecution. Bryn Gingras, with our partners at CNN, has details.
A New York Police Department source says this is the strongest chance of bringing criminal charges against Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein.
We have an actionable case here.
33-year-old actress Paz de la Huerta, best known for her role in Boardwalk Empire,
my old friend Annabelle,
says Weinstein raped her on 2 separate occasions in late 2010. Detectives say she's credible because
the ability to articulate each and every movement of the crime, where she was, where they met, where this happened, and what he did.
De la Huerta tells CNN she first met Weinstein when she was 14, acting in Cider House Rules, a movie he produced. So 12 years later, when Weinstein offered to give her a ride home from a club, she says she didn't feel uncomfortable until they were in her New York City apartment. She told CNN her story on the phone.
He pulled my slip dress up and he unzipped his pants and he raped me.
De la Huerta says it happened again, nearly 2 months later.
The first time I was in just complete shock. And it just happened so quickly. The second time, I was terrified of him in a million ways that I knew how to say no, said no.
Weinstein's representative did not respond to CNN's request for comment regarding De La Huerta's allegations. But through a spokeswoman, he has repeatedly denied any allegations of non-consensual sex. More than 60 women have accused the movie mogul of sexual harassment or assault. An NYPD source says the department's rape hotline has fielded dozens of calls about Weinstein. But De La Huerta's case stands out because it fits within the statute of limitations.
This person was still in New York, and it was recent. We would go right away and make the arrest, no doubt. But we're talking about a 7-year-old case, and we have to move forward, gathering evidence.
De La Huerta says she's been working with police and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office on gathering evidence, including accounts from her friend and a therapist who she confided in after the alleged attacks. The DA's office would only say a senior sex crimes prosecutor is assigned to this investigation.
I'd like to see him go to jail. I mean, I think he's a rapist. He's gotten away with it for too many years. It would be nice to imagine that justice exists.
Earlier this week, I reported the source said they have one other open case against Weinstein here in New York. Bryn Gingras, CNN, New York.
Last year, the former interim head of the Democratic National Committee considered replacing Hillary Clinton as the party's presidential nominee with then Vice President Joe Biden. According to the Washington Post, Donna Brazile says in an upcoming memoir set to be released on Tuesday that she was seriously thinking of replacing Clinton after she fainted during a 9/11 memorial service in New York City and revealed that she was suffering from pneumonia. Now, Brazile decided not to replace Clinton with the vice president after realizing how excited some women in the U.S. were about Clinton being a candidate. Former Congressman Anthony Weiner is scheduled to start serving his prison sentence Monday. He's required to report to a federal medical center in Devens, Massachusetts. Weiner's facing 21 months in prison after pleading guilty to sending obscene texts to a 15-year-old girl. Weiner was a rising political star until his first sexting scandal broke in 2011. That's when he stepped down from Congress. But his biggest legal trouble started when he was caught communicating with the teenager just last year. After pleading guilty in his trial, Weiner said that he, quote, has a sickness. His sentence also includes 3 years of supervised release. Well, don't go away. There's a new discovery about one of the wonders of the world. Scientists learned there's more than they thought there was inside the famous pyramids of Egypt. Hey, get this, the Great Pyramid of Giza has another secret waiting for archaeologists. It turns out there's a mysterious empty space inside the tomb. The mission Scan Pyramids picked up a void that's about 100 feet long. They were using a new particle tracking technique. The Great Pyramid contains 3 previously discovered rooms. They knew about the King's Chamber and then a smaller Queen's Chamber and a passageway called the Grand Gallery. But this new room is the first major discovery inside the pyramid since the 19th century. But because drilling inside the pyramid is banned, that means whatever secrets are in that room are going to stay sealed up in stone for quite a while. I thought this was amazing, you know, because it takes me back to what, 5th, 6th grade, where you do the models or the posters where you're building a pyramid.
And you think they've discovered everything about them, but there you go. There's another mystery.
Even more.
And there's more to see in there. I can't wait till they finally get in there to take a look at it.
Who knows what they'll use too, because they can't do the drilling, but maybe they'll have some new technology that they'll figure out
some new stuff to get in there.
Yeah,
safely. Hey, you know, we've got some changes coming our way here the next 24 hours. That storm system moving on through. I think tomorrow a cool day. Bundle up. These numbers going to only be in the 50s and the 60s. And don't forget, that's right, daylight savings time comes to an end tonight, so you get an extra hour of sleep tomorrow. Enjoy it. Don't stay up to 2. Just turn that clock back an hour before you go to bed.
Yeah.
You should be fine.
Yeah, and then you get that extra sleep even if you are staying up.
Love it.
Enjoy it. Thanks for joining us.